Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity again. So the topic of today's Japa talk is the power of the holy name gives us power. His Holiness Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj describes in one of his lectures that whenever a patient who complains of weakness in his body goes to a doctor gives him a syrup, a multivitamin syrup or something. So that patient just take that syrup. He does not know the chemical constituents of that syrup. He does not know how this syrup is going to act on his body. He just takes the syrup because that power of the syrup is so that it is going to act whether the patient knows it or does not know it. Similarly, a devotee, when he chants, whether he knows the power of the holy name or doesn't know the power of the holy name, it is going to act. So we are going to take some examples and analogies today to discuss the power of the holy name. I was just listening to life history of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj when he was not a sannyasi that time. He was Bhakt Jay. So in Montreal, he was he was just helping Jayanand Prabhu to make a Jagannath Rath Yatra cart. So after finishing his work, secretary of Prabhupada came to him that Bhakt Jay, you have worked for so much, now you can chant for some time. So he gave him the beads and Maharaj started chanting. This was his first attempt of chanting, first experience with the chanting. So he sat under a tree and started chanting. When he started chanting, he just got so much power. He explains that he doesn't know from where this power was coming from. So he got so empowered within his mind, body, and soul that he kept on chanting, chanting, and chanting. He chanted for 5 rounds, 10 rounds, 20, and then finally he landed up 32 rounds chanting in his first attempt. So later on, after 3-4 hours, when he completed his 32 rounds, that secretary of Prabhupada came running to him and asked, Bhakti, I was looking for you. By mistake, I gave you Prabhupada beads to chant. So this was the first attempt of Jayapataka Swami Maharaj that he chanted on Prabhupada beads. What does it mean? That the power of the holy name was already there, but he got the opportunity to chant on the beads of an empowered Acharya. So he got the double dose of power of chanting. That day only he decided, okay, I will shave my head and I'll surrender to Srila Prabhupada. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj also describes in his book Journey Home that when he went to see Mother Teresa in Calcutta, he saw that Mother Teresa was working relentlessly and without any motive, unmotivatedly, she was serving so poor and sick people there in Calcutta. So this really moved His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj's heart. So he asked her, from where you are getting all this power from? So Mother Teresa replied, she just took out the beads out of her, even the Christians, they do rosary. So she took out the rosary beads out of her pocket and she said, I'm getting all my power from the God's names. So the power of the holy name, what kinds of power holy name gives us? First power, it gives us to fight with Maya. Like there's an analogy given when there's a fight between a mongoose and a cobra snake. Who is more powerful? A cobra snake is more powerful than a mongoose. But who wins finally? The mongoose wins. Why so? Because when mongoose fights with the snake, first he is having a innate immunity against the venom of that snake, of cobra. And second, when he fights with the snake, in between he comes back to his place and takes some energy and power from a very special plant. So this is the how he keeps on charging himself and getting the power from that specific plant, and he has the power of fighting with snake, cobra, and finally winning the game. So similarly, a devotee also can win from Maya, though Maya is more powerful. But we can get surcharged, we can get empowered by chanting the holy name. Like we are chanting for 2 hours, and rest of the 22 hours we are in Maya. So who seems to has the more propensity to win? The 22 hours of Maya. But somehow devotee of getting that power from 2 hours of chanting, he can still defeat Maya. Second power to fight with reversals. Here we take the example of Sant Tukaram. Once Sant Tukaram was being employed in one of the fields. The field owner, he told him that you will be given this much of money. You just have to take care of the fields. You just have to shoo away all the birds from here. So Sant Tukaram was seeing, he was an exalted devotee, and he was seeing super soul in the hearts of all the birds. So he was not shooing away them. So they were just coming and eating away all the crop of that field. So when that owner came to know this, he just kicked out Sant Tukaram from there and rather bashed him. So Sant Tukaram, but he was that time also he was chanting the holy name, and even after being bashed up from that field owner, he was still chanting the holy name. So finally, what happened? That year, that crop was so enormous crop happened there, and that field owner got the 10 times of the profit of that crop. So he realized that because of Sant Tukaram, he was chanting there, my crop has become so successful. So he gave 50% of his share to Sant Tukaram, though he rejected. So the power of the holy name gives us to fight with the reversals also in our life. So the power of the holy name also saves us from dangers. We know from the examples of Prahlad Maharaj how he has been saved from so many dangers. Hiranyakashipu tried to kill him in so many ways, but he was saved because why? Because he was chanting the holy name Satat always 24 hours. Even in the example of the Haridas Thakur, he was being whipped in 22 marketplaces, but he didn't feel the pain. So why? Because the power of the holy name was saving him. Even being devotees, we are also very much curious about our future. We are very much fearful about our future. So many of the devotees also go to astrologer to ask about their horoscope. So in one of his lectures, his grace Amog Leela Prabhuji was describing that I also went to an astrologer to ask about my horoscope. So that astrologer asked Prabhuji that are you chanting 16? He was a devotee astrologer. He asked him, are you chanting 16 rounds daily? He said yes. Are you having some faith in your guru? He said yes. Are you following 4 regulative principles? He said yes. So he said, you are out of the jurisdiction of the 9 planets. So the horoscope is not affecting a devotee. So power of the holy name is such that it makes you out of the jurisdiction of the effect of 9 planets. Power of the holy name is not only for the devotees. Power of the holy name is not only for the devotees, it is for even for the demons. Like in third canto, Kapil Muni describes this to his mother.
Yeah.